Friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic, X-rated sex magic. I'm your host, Josh Gribby, joined today for our continuing journey through the horror beast. You know the deal. It's the October Mega Marathon. 31 days, 31 pods. Today we begin the second franchise of the month. I hope you enjoyed our journey through the Omen franchise. The next two franchises, we have a special guest host. She helps us out all the time. She's one of our favorite people. Carmelita Valdez McKoy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, friend.
Guys, I hope you're enjoying the October Mega Marathon. It's a real passion of love. It's our greatest time of the year. It's our big event every year. So if you would be so kind, we're going to ask a couple favors of you up top. Please go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. It's the only way to make sure you get all 31 episodes of the October Mega Marathon. We'll have 2 Patreon exclusive episodes and a feature-length commentary, which you're going to want to hear, right? So go over to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. It means the world to us to have your support, especially this month. The end of the year, we do a lot of fun stuff. So this is our big time, and seeing that support means a lot to us. Helps us, keep everything moving forward. So thank you. In advance, we have a wonderful community over there, huge Patreon exclusive library, a Tales from the Crypt miniseries, which if you're into the October Mega Marathon, I'm assuming you'll like. Commentaries, you can even have us do a double feature of your choosing. So please and thank you in advance, patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. The YouTube channel, Film Alchemist, subscribe over there. We need all the subscribers we can get. We're on all the social media you're on, including TikTok. We would love to see you over there, helping us, with the algorithm, right? It's not like the 70s. We can't just grab a camera and go film a porno, and that'll do it.
No.
I mean, actually, technically, I guess we can. I guess that could be the route. Film Alchemist could make a hard turn into the fucking pornog business. But until then, it would help if you would help us with the algorithm. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We're easy to get a hold of. Reach out. Make sure you go leave 5-star ratings and reviews everywhere you find the pod. That helps us out a ton as well. Make sure you go to misfitparade.net so you can see the movies we're making. My short film, Sugar Tits, is out in the world. Might be able to come watch it with me somewhere near you. That would be super fun. And we are in production actively on our first feature film, Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole. A lot of fun stuff over there. Crowdfunding afoot. All the good stuff. You can go over there and help make that movie happen. It's going to be a wild good time. Make sure you're checking out the video work I'm doing on Looper. Talking about movies. If you like that, you can see that, but with my torso in video. So that is another option there. Make sure you go to check out Carmelita at Carmelita Says, Twitter and Letterboxd. All right, that's a lot of business, Carmelita. I'm sorry you had to endure that.
No, it has to happen. And I just heard the name of your film for the first time.
Have we not talked about? Yeah.
No.
So we dropped that at the premiere of Sugar
amazing.
Tits. Yeah, so we premiered Sugar Tits at the Days of the Dead Film Festival. And everyone's like, that was a wild good time. We liked it. And they're like, what are you working on? And my buddy goes, well, our feature film, Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole. And the whole fucking room just erupted in laughter. And it made me feel good. I was like, I've never been a good title writer.
That's great.
I have a lot of friends, they start with the title and work backwards, right? They imagine like the title and the poster. I just write a story about a character I like. So when I got that one, and honestly, I can't even take credit. It was my co-writer, Jonathan Holliday. You've heard him on this pod. He's one of my favorite people on earth. My co-writer in Pittsburgh, we were writing this story, and he's just like, you have a lot of sexual repression issues. And I was like, how fucking dare you? And through that, we started this journey. And he goes, we should do this Mr. Cream Jeans character. And yeah, Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole. That's going to be our offering to the cinema guy. Maybe next October, some other podcasters will be talking about our stupid ass movie.
I hope
but it's
so.
going to be fun. Speaking
Definitely.
of movies that are fucking fun, X. So the X trilogy is actually kind of one of those amazing stories that people like me who are making independent horror movies, we all love this story. This was a kind of pandemic gift, a silver lining of the pandemic. That's a weird thing to say, right? But in the pandemic, this movie is birthed. This and Pearl, X and Pearl, shot back-to-back in New Zealand, which I can't fucking fathom, right? leading to let's open it up a little bit in Maxine, which was in theaters this year. I think $4 million was the budget for all three. They have definitely earned all that money back. This is like an indie horror success story. It's an indie horror achievement, and that it's kind of helping us remind audiences that they still want new, interesting horror. They want new, wonderful horror characters. I think Maxine and Pearl are immediately iconic, right? It's just an all-around win for just horror movie fans, the horror community in general. But we started with X, right? Which was kind of sold to us as it's filming a porno at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Yeah.
Immediately you're like, yes, fuck yes. I am in 100%. Ty West, I fucking love Ty West. I think he's one of our most talented horror filmmakers. Okay, I'm in. I think this movie is the best of the trilogy, if I'm being honest. I think it's the most fun. It's got, this kind of, it's got the best horror elements. And what I posit to you for your opening thoughts, I don't even think the Chainsaw Massacre-ness is what's scary. What's scary is the fucking withering, decaying flesh and the hopeful, optimistic mind that, or not even optimistic anymore, right? But seeing a human soul completely snuffed out, yearning for one more shot, right? When we see Pearl reach out and just want to touch Maxine, and we know she can never go back. That's fucking scary. That is real fucking scary. And the kind of scary this franchise never reaches again, in my opinion. And so I just think this is such a wonderful fucking place for a franchise to start. What are your opening thoughts, Carmelita, on X? And you picked this. This was your choice. Why the X franchise?
So at the time that we were talking about possible franchises to add to this year's marathon, I thought about the X trilogy because Maxine's coming out, and I feel like, there's all this talk about, our movie's dead, box office isn't cutting it, and is there any, is everything a Marvel movie these days? And I feel like this trilogy has gotten people excited about going to see them, talking about them. There was a lot of buzz right before Pearl came out, and this year a lot of buzz about Maxine coming out. And then regardless of once people go and see them, how it all shakes out and how they feel about them, people were excited.
Yeah.
And I think too, to your point, really interesting story that definitely the influences are right there front and center.
Yeah, and each one has such a different set of
Yes.
influences, which is super fun. And again, I think we're kind of in a new golden age of horror. We get amazing one-off horror all the time, right? Like this year, people were super pumped for Longlegs. We got a lot of those kind of movies that are coming out and making a big splash. We're even starting new horror franchise, right? Smile 2 is dropping.
Yeah.
So we get so much good horror all the time now. What I think makes this one interesting is the kind of idea of starting with the franchise in mind, right? So it's not a one-off. It's not an A24. It's not a Neon. It's not an old legacy IP. It's like we're starting this new trilogy. And there's something kind of cool and ballsy about that, right? And to your point, they're all so different. And they take place over 80 years, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a really unique and interesting franchise, right? I think it immediately kind of fills this interesting place in the horror community, right? And this one, obviously inspired by kind of that, 70s aesthetic. We've got the kind of porn VHS market popping up, so that's where this movie's happening. Immediately, I think the clearest you see is it's this homage to Tobe Hooper, right? Besides just the kind of Texas Chainsaw surface setting, right? I think there is this kind of obsession with the flesh. There is a consumptive nature to this. But even the gator in the lake, I was like, that reminded me of Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where the fucking motel owner's just feeding his guest That has a great Robert Englund performance too. Really fucking fun movie. But I was like, all right, so it's this kind of fucking love letter to Tobe Hooper and horror. It's got these porno set dressings. And it's just this is the movie of the three that just says, let's have some fucking fun. We've been locked in our houses for a while. In this once in a generation fucking medical nightmare, societal nightmare. And so I think this is the one of the three where you really see like they're just 100% concerned with making it the most fun they can. But the aging, rotting flesh, or the like, I lost all this time, that's a really fucking intense thing to add in the middle of a pandemic.
There's a lot. I mean, there's layers, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this trilogy. And it starts here with X, these layers. Like, you get the slasher thing that we're all familiar with, and there's some great kills in this, and, you know, this isolated farm, and it's all of that's great, and it's fun. And then, yes, you get all these psychological layers that start to get hinted at that I think will build into the next film and then subsequent. And yes, we have the fear of aging, which on some level I really enjoy. As I get older, though, I have to say,
Yep.
I was a little, okay, I just have to say this. One of the things about this movie that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit was that they play it up so much. They make their aging bodies look so grotesque.
Yeah.
And the idea that older people wanting to have sex is so disgusting. like when Matt,
I will say that was not a titillating moment of the film.
It's not. Well, and it wasn't meant to be. Like, that was the horror.
Yeah.
They become monsters, these sexual monsters. And part of what's so disgusting about them is that they're so grotesquely old. Now, most aged people don't look grotesque like that. Like, it's played up because these are prosthetics. They've created these bodies to look that way. Mm-hmm. And as I get older, I'm starting to take a little issue because I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I'd like to still be having sex at 80 years old if I'm still alive at 80 years old.
Yeah, well, I
don't want anyone to look at me and say
right?
You're disgusting.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of Howard. When I'm that old, I'm like, what a better way to die, dude. I'm going to be crawling up all the time on the horse and like, if this is how I go, right? Like Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastard. And this is how I die. I will meet it like a hero, sword drawn. No, I hit a landmark birthday, too, of old age, and it is intense, and my wife and I both hit it, and we're like, fuck, are we okay? Like, what's going on? And you're like, it's the same. It is an interesting choice in the movie, because Mia Goth plays...
Both.
She plays Pearl and Maxine. And they hint at she's so obsessed with Maxine because she says, you know, you have a very special face, which we come to find out is her face. Right? When she watches Maxine fucking in the barn, she imagines herself, her old body on top of Jackson fucking, right? She looks back at herself. So there's this layer of, it's not even supernatural, but just like almost coincidence. There's something, what do you make of the choice to have Mia Goth play both?
So I think if we had not gotten Pearl, I think I would feel a little wanting, like I want to know more about Pearl.
Yeah.
Because they do all of this hinting to
and we kind of
Pearl
see her
being
in
drawn
the
to
pictures,
Maxine.
But they don't do like a Shining picture where you get a close-up that it's 100% Mia. You just get this hint like, oh, they look similar.
Yes.
Because I do, to your point, it comes off as this kind of very bizarre joke almost, right? But when you get Pearl, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, of course you want her to play Pearl. Mia Goth in that movie, or Goth in that movie, that's the fucking role. That's the kind of defining thing I will take away from the whole franchise is that performance.
Yeah.
Right? So then it makes sense. But in this one, I do think it's kind of a I think it's a calculated choice to make them so grotesque, and I think it's a calculated choice to have her play both. One, she's just maybe one of the great, not even maybe, definitely one of the great young actresses we have today, right?
She is, yeah.
So if you've got her doing both, cool. But I think it is driving home this. I think what they're trying to tell us is that the monstrosity is not them for aging, but that it's aging itself, right? There's a point where Wayne is like, they're sitting there after their first day of shooting. I also forgot this all happens in like a day. Like this happens in 24 hours.
A lot happens on this farm.
They're just doing coke and buying Wonder Bread, and then a police detective is sorting it out the next day. This is a rapid progression of events. But they're sitting there post-shoot day, post-coital, right? And Church Mouse, Jenny Ortega, is just like, hey, well, don't you guys like worry about this and that? And they're just like, hey, man, we're young. We're making money. We're not going to let society decide what we do. I don't want to go back to where I came from, right? All these kind of ideals of youth, right? These like spouting of youthful ideals that we all remember, right? I'm leaving my small town. I'm going to go make my name, blah, 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 blah. And I think there's a line at one point where Wayne even says, yeah, at some point, I think it was Wayne who says it, right? But he's like, someday, like, no one's going to want to fuck you.
Right.
So, like, use it up now, right? All the stuff you have. And then it becomes this kind of funny thesis that's telling us they might have been right because they all get fucking brutally murdered that night. So, like, yeah, you should go have your fun, right? Gather your oats while you can, because you might get fucking stabbed in the eyeball with a fucking pitchfork and step on a nail. So I think what they're getting at is, I think the monstrous thing is just that age is the scariest thing that we all face, right? Because your point, I hope that I'm still like on the fucking wagon and doing my best, but I will say that every time you hit a new decade, if you just do like a physical inventory, you're like, yeah, I'm not doing as good. There's like some worse things happening in the body. And it is, you feel it. And like,
there's
even
some of
just
that.
having that birthday, you're just like, you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, where is it? Where's the thing? Like, where's the sign on my head that says I'm like expired? It's scary.
There is some of that, but there is also that, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I experienced this where you go like, oh, that's not that old.
Well,
like,
it's bizarre how that changes. When someone says like, oh, they're 52 and you're 26, you're like, ugh.
Right.
Now they say that and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like that's not that far.
That's
I'm
not that
imagining
old.
like, oh, my kid will be graduating high school. And like, you're like, oh, fuck. Like it's coming. It's coming for you faster than you think.
Yeah. Because, and you're...
And they were leading like hard Depression era farm lives. Like they might be 48. We don't know. We don't know how old Pearl is.
Well, at the time of X,
actually,
we don't
do.
know.
Yes, we know when Pearl happens. But in this movie, you're like, do you ever
Actually,
see
no.
that
Wait.
like meme that's going around, and it's like all the actors who played old people on like our parents' sitcoms are like our age.
Yes.
And you're just like, Jesus Christ. Like they were living hard back then.
It's just different. Actually, there are some mention of Howard, Pearl's husband.
He was in the war, that's right.
That he was in both world wars.
That's right.
So he is of an advanced age.
But he could have been, cradle robbing when he got home, taking a teenage bride. So that would make Pearl just a ripe, like, 63.
Sure. Well, and here's the thing. Like, I love, love, love hagsploitation.
Yeah.
I love it. And that aspect of this I do enjoy.
I think the problem is that she doesn't have, like, hags are imbued with magical power to take revenge on the patriarchy, right? That's kind of like a key element to the genre.
Sometimes, yeah. There's an element of that.
When I think of that, like, if you think of, like, The Witch or Lords of Salem or, like, all the great, like, 70s kind of, like, witchcraft, Satan stuff, it feels like it's men who are afraid of this inherent power of women and their sexual power, right? Over men.
Sure. Yeah, there's usually an element of that.
It's like, it's hagsploitation if she got, like, her fucking Hogwarts wand stolen.
Well, this is Pearl in a lot of regards, actually, now that I think about it, is more akin to the hagsploitation of, like, whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yes. Okay, so that is a great call. So that's a different kind. See, I was thinking that hagsploitation, I just immediately go to, like, witches, right?
Mm.
But the idea of, whatever happened to Baby Jane, Sunset Boulevard, you are a person who achieves something great, and you reach these certain heights, and we idolize you, and what happens when that attention is pulled away because you're a woman who ages, so society has no more value for you.
Right. And for poor Pearl,
Yeah.
which we just get hinted at here in X,
Mm-hmm.
it never happened.
Yeah.
And she's talking to Maxine over lemonade and then showing her the picture of her, posing as a dancer, that she wanted to be a dancer. And she talks about how Howard, her husband, used to do anything for her when she was young, but not anymore.
Yeah. It also feels
it's
unfair for Howard because it's like maybe he's got like ED and a heart condition. It's not very cool to just like every day surprise and be like, hey, are you ready to die today? Like, leave that poor man alone. He's out there fucking murdering people for you.
the heart condition thing is, I mean, that's a real thing for some folks. Like,
I love the idea that
enough,
he can go out and commit like all these murders and drag Jackson into the pond and shoot him and stage a flashlight, but he's afraid like 3 seconds of sex is going to kill him.
No vigorous thrusting.
I mean, that's true though, like, because he also there's that wonderful line, and this is where I think the movie doesn't all the way make a joke of them. Because there's kind of this nice moment in the middle of the carnage, right? Where they sit on the bed and she's just like, tell me.
That's my favorite.
And he's like, you were the prettiest woman in the world to me. And she's like, I ain't anymore. And he just goes, always. Like, to me, you'll always be the prettiest woman in the world. And she opens her shirt to your point, what feels like a comical, like, point and laugh at the old raisin breast, right? Just like, oh, look at that thing. He sees it and is immediately just stoked and turned on and willing to die to have her again.
Yeah.
And so there is this really nice moment that then, again, is punctuated for laughs when you just see him like, trying to like fucking get on her and pull his pants down. And she's just under the bed like, ew. So it ends in that place of mockery. But that little moment between them, I was like, there is this, love conquers the withering of our bodies, right? And that is like a really nice kind of sweet moment in the middle of this fucking
it's one of my favorites. And I'm going to say right now, because I think the character of Howard is fascinating, almost as fascinating as Pearl, really. Because at first, when you first meet Howard, he seems controlling of his wife. Yeah. And he's, a farmer in rural Texas.
Yeah.
You're thinking traditional conservative values.
Pretty into shooting people.
Right. He wants his little wife
racist. You're like, all right.
At home, not talking to strangers.
Yeah.
Not wandering off by herself. It must be a possessive, controlling husband thing.
Yeah.
Only to find out, as this story unfolds over the course of the movie, that no, he's trying to protect everyone from Pearl.
Yeah.
He's scared of what Pearl will do if she interacts with these young people.
Well, especially in part 2, we see that. And you kind of wonder, because they say something about the last Bohemians that stayed here.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, I don't think that phrase was used when the movie Pearl happens. Also, the carnage had happened, I think, by the time Wayne gets back at the very end of the movie. So you are left wondering, you're like, how many fucking... Is that boarding house specifically a trap? Is it a trap to appease Pearl?
I mean, it definitely is.
And
we see the young man chained up in the cellar.
Yeah.
Dead. With his pants down.
I thought that was the guy that she ran over when I first saw it.
Yes, it's not.
So there was like, I was like, I lost track of the bodies the first time I watched it. But then you're like, there's a car in the pond. It's like a Volkswagen Bug or whatever. You're like, okay, there's like something else going on. So you get the sense that it's them raging against these kind of young, horny people of the kind of free 70s, right?
Yeah.
And there is something interesting about that to me in a horror movie, because a lot of horror movie characters are played as these kind of two-dimensional sex objects. And when you kind of take that and invert it on its head, and you're like, that's it gives us a point of view from why the monsters do it, right? Because everyone knows horror has this kind of conservative tinge to it. that even if it's made as outsider art attacking the society of the time, what it really is like virgins live and whores die. You know, people who are square live, people who fucking smoke pot and whatever, they die.
Right.
And so this is just giving a really pointed reason why the monster does that. Is Pearl any different, really, than Leatherface, right? Just wanting to take someone else's skin and is willing to murder them for that. And, you know, Leatherface does it more for eating, it feels like. But he's also playing with his food, 100%.
Definitely.
But him and Pearl don't feel that different. We're just giving... Whereas Leatherface, it's, you know, society left us behind and we got to eat. And I have something wrong with me. I want to cover my face, right? It's kind of two motives running parallel. Pearl's is just, man, if I could fucking crawl into a skin suit myself, I would. She believes she was wronged, right? And that's that old show business truism, right? If you could have been, you would have been.
Right.
And Pearl still has not accepted that. And I think that's the second thing that is really scary about this movie.
Yeah.
Is the idea that at some point you never make peace with the fact that you didn't take your shot, or you took your shot and you missed, as we see later, or that you gave up, but you can't accept that you gave up, and it leads you to this kind of metastasizing spiritually.
Yeah. No, and this is a thing I'm currently trying to work through, like, you know, the regrets of, I should have done that. Man, I should have done that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're making our first independent film at 40, right? Like, I get it. There is this, like, we're like some of the last guys from our group that are still trying our best. Knowing full well that, you know, we get a couple of these, maybe no one will see it. Like, we're just doing it for ourselves and because we've always wanted to at this point. With no illusions that it'll be this like grandiose thing, but we're on the path and we haven't given up yet. And I was like, what happens if like you make the one and then you just don't get to do it again and you age out of it and you're just like fucking, and you just turn hard, right? And then you start hating other movies and young filmmakers because they did the thing that it's like it is kind of the dark side of creative pursuits, I feel like. It's because it's not sports. There shouldn't be this comparative who wins, who loses. We kind of do that with box office, right? We turn it into this kind of sports content thing. But I would say everyone I know who's creative, we all do this, like we root for everyone, blah, blah, blah. It is at some level lying to yourself and horseshit. You are also competitive with others. There are also people you see achieving things, right, that are your age or you guys work together and they take that big jump and it hurts and you're mad and you're like, why not me? And I think successful people, you have to learn how to like tamp that down. Mm-hmm. Be like, nice, they did the work. They were prepared when their time came. Hopefully I will be too. But people are lying if they say they don't have a little bit of that pearl in them and get mad. And another subtle scary thing about this relationship is that Pearl is married to a person who already achieved everything they wanted. Yes. And there's something kind of hard for Pearl, I'm guessing, that Howard's just every day he's like, I have everything I've ever wanted in this world. While she is so discontented, that's got to be hard.
This is a great point. And the relationship between Howard and Pearl is my favorite thing about this movie. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the great tragic love stories of cinema. I really do. Yes, Howard is on this farm. He's married to the woman of his dreams.
It is. It's like a Greek tragedy, right? Like I chained the woman of my dreams to this fucking place. You know what I mean?
And he's willing to do anything.
Literally
anything.
Yes.
To try and make Pearl happy enough to stay.
Yeah, and it's got to be interesting for Howard. He cannot, all she wants is to be recognized for how great she was. Mm-hmm. It's not enough for Pearl that one person thinks she is literally the greatest human being that's ever lived. And I think that is very tragic in relationships with people with grandiose pursuits.
Yes.
Is they are so desperate to get an audience to give them the thing that someone who really loves them already gives them.
Right.
But because they already have it, it's not enough. right? So
Mm.
having someone love you the way Howard loves you should be enough. It should matter more, it feels like, in the way the world tells us that love works. Pearl's already got that. She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Even when he bangs her, right? You're just like, what is she thinking? Is she just like, okay, I'm getting busted open, or is it he's willing to die for me? Right?
Yeah.
Or is it just a mockery of what she saw earlier? Like, I can still do what they do. Do you think in that moment she's just like, I feel fully loved? Or is it more,
I'm not
I'm
sure.
worshipped, right? Like, it does feel like there's this dark extra layer from Pearl. And again, that kind of, the unevenness of the love makes it fascinating.
And it's kind of the cool thing, too, when you look at the relationships of the crew for this adult movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne, the filmmaker or producer, is in a relationship with Maxine.
Yeah. The cast of this movie is just stellar, by the way. Can we just, like, everyone in this movie is fucking great.
Yeah, no, they're
including
awesome.
My boy Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi.
Number one, like, getting ready to go out party mix. Soundtrack to my life. We have smoked so much pot and done so many shots to that Kid Cudi album. When I heard he was in this movie, I was fucking blown away. And he's actually good.
No, he's really good.
Yeah.
So you look at this guy, Wayne, he's exploiting, or, you know, I don't know how conscious he is, but, like, you know, he's using Maxine. She's young.
Well, we find out he left his wife for Maxine. And he has these grandiose ideas of pornography empire because he doesn't want to wear a hard hat to work. So there is she is a meal ticket on top of a romantic interest.
And, you know, a lot of people date younger. It makes them feel younger.
Yeah.
Maxine is involved with him because he's her way into the film industry. Maxine doesn't give two shits about Wayne.
He doesn't feel that way, yeah.
No, it's strategic. He's a means to an end.
He's a fun guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's helping her get into this movie.
And he's helping her get into and Maxine is convinced, I'm so much of a star. I have this X factor.
Yeah.
If he gives me this in through adult film, there's no way I won't be a star.
If he just provides me cocaine and a camera, I'm going to make it for sure.
I'm going to make it for sure.
Yeah.
And then we see RJ, the cinematographer, the camera guy.
This fucking guy. So
and his girlfriend, Lorraine. They're really interesting.
Can we talk about RJ for RJ?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Just a guy you fucking hate. Like, just such a hateable. Because I feel bad because he's probably like a lot of the people watching the movie. He's the character that you most are able to access the movie through, right? Most of the audience will watch the movie and you're either an RJ or a church mouse, most likely. Right? I doubt many of us are like, yeah, I'm a Bobby Lynn or a Jackson, right? You're probably one of those two, or you're a Pearl or Howard, right? I was watching it, it's just like the whole, like, you can make a good dirty movie. I was like, all right, what a piece of shit. He's spouting all this artistic bullshit, but I do think it's one of the most interesting bits of the movie is when Jenny Ortega, who's kind of judging everyone, she's like, this is wild. Because he brings her onto set seemingly as another version of, like, this acknowledge how great I am, right? It's a very Pearl kind of headspace.
Watch me work. Watch me make this movie magic.
Yeah, you will be here to witness my ascent to the fucking throne. And then she's like, hey, man, if I'm gonna, like, if we believe in this, I want to be in the movie. I don't want to just fucking lug shit around. And after they had just espoused all of this, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just business. It's just art. And watching her immediately call his bluff and him fucking crumble. Like that scene when he walks in like it's the fucking Green Mile and he's walking to his death. And she looks at him. And the way it pushes into that lens, into the fucking cold, wet shower, I was just like, that scene is fucking righteous.
Him crying in the shower.
It's such fucking weak energy. But it's an energy, I think.
No, but you know what?
But this is another scary thing. There are so many men that I know that this is like a real fucking fear.
Yes.
Right? And there's this idea in the movie, too, that's kind of pervasive, right? Is just because you're with someone, that doesn't mean that they're the best person you've ever met. That doesn't mean they're the best lay you've ever had. In fact, I would imagine almost everyone who's married, you're probably not married to the best lay you've ever had, right? Or this is the most fun person I've ever met. Probably not, right? Those people usually aren't going to settle down as often, right? What it is when you meet someone, it's like, who's the best partner? And that's something I think we take for granted a lot because we want to be the world in our partner's eye, right? And so he just sees his girlfriend getting fucked in a way that he can never do, right? With equipment he'll never have. And there is a real fear in men, right? There's this real societal fear of, the big dick and being afraid that someone's going to come and just like steal your wife and she'll never be the same. And it just discredits all of this kind of other emotional stuff or life building stuff. But it is like a real true fucking whore. It's another kind of body whore that the movie presents us.
No, I mean, yeah, this is very real. And actually, and you kind of alluded to this at the beginning, more people are experiencing something like this today than they would have in the 70s because, the adult film community was a small, professionals.
It was kind of cloistered and underground. Now it's everywhere.
People make amateur pornography. A lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's one of the cool themes.
Undervaluing of if my sex doesn't look like pornography sex, or I can't do the things pornography professionals can, or my wife can't, or this and that, then it means that our sex is worth nothing. Like, these are real psychological problems that people fucking battle.
Yeah, that people are experiencing. And this idea of, someone who will watch pornography but would judge their partner if their partner wanted to be in an adult film.
Yes.
Or perform publicly.
It's a weird relationship thing, right? You want to craft your partner into the thing you need and want them to be. And when they start writing some of their own story, it feels like an assault on you that you're not enough. There's a lot going on in this, I think, that it does not present itself immediately, right? It feels more like a Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive kind of romp through porno and murder. I think there's a lot of body horror in this. Like, that's the genre I think it actually more represents than slasher, right? I think it is this true body horror. Even, Maxine and Brittany Snow's character, like, there's that scene where, like, they finish and she's wiping herself off and Jackson's, like, flexing in the mirror. She's like, don't be proud of yourself. And she's, like, doing that. I can do that whenever. And she starts acting. And he looks crestfallen. You're like, even the fucking porno actor who's got all of the fucking gifts and is blasting it open left and right, even he feels fucking inadequate.
Yeah.
Because his power is taken. And then Jenny Ortega sees that and she's like, that to me is the moment in the film when she's like, I want to try that power.
Okay.
I don't want to be a church mouse. I want to show power.
I wanted to ask you about this because, okay, I'm going to say right now, Jenny Ortega's character, Lorraine, my most hated character in this movie.
More than RJ?
Yes.
Oh, man. I think RJ has such fucking just weasel energy.
No, that girl.
Okay, so why Lorraine?
Oh, my God. She irks me. It's because she's so judgy.
She is.
I hate that shit. She is so judgy. And Jenny Ortega does a great job. My hating her character means she was effective because
she was a great actress. Yeah, you don't hate Jenny Ortega or Jenna Ortega. You hate Lorraine.
The character of Lorraine. That type of person, very judgmental.
Yeah.
And when she's asking questions, for me, and maybe this is my own like triggering on judgy people that I've encountered in my life. She's asking because she wants to try and catch you out.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to judge you more. She doesn't actually want to understand.
Yeah.
And so when she says that she suddenly just decides she wants to be in the movie, that always felt a little like, I don't know. I had
devaluing what they do.
I guess, like, I don't know.
It's like anyone
it's
can
like,
do what Maxine and Bobby Lynn do.
right.
Because that's the
Which
other thing.
is,
She's the only one we don't actually see some of the scene.
yes.
So we don't see if she actually is talented. Like, we see a lot of Bobby Lynn and Maxine, and you're like, yes, they have that thing that makes that kind of skill and the craft of porn actresses, right? They've got that fucking X factor. It is interesting that we never see Lorraine, right? In a way, she's able to kind of keep her innocence while, and even that she has like her day of the week underwear on.
Yes.
Like, there's almost something like
That used to be a
childish
thing
about it, which isn't super enticing. Like, I don't know that I want to see the childlike character get pounded. But it's interesting that we don't see it at all, right? It leaves room for this. Was she any good? Was he sad because he's watching her and she's just getting run through and it wasn't for great art, right? Is that what RJ's actually double sad about? Is that it wasn't a good scene even?
Maybe.
Right?
That's an interesting thought.
His vision of what she could be is crumbled, right? So again, there's all these little layers that, because I think we're just laughing that she's gonna get, banged by Jackson, because all of us are like, that's the nightmare, right? That's the nightmare. Like, there's a comedian, Big J. Okerson, who was telling a joke. He's like, yeah, I always wanted to do orgies. And he's like, I imagined it just be, and I took my wife, so, like, we're not getting a divorce. And he's like, I imagined it just be me, like, banging a bunch of women and, getting a Gatorade. And, like, this is great. I get to bang all these other women and stay married. And he's like, I will never forget standing in the room and just watching this guy just annihilate my wife in a way that I could never. And he's like, and my jaw drops in horror, like, what have I done? I made a miscalculation. And I was like, it's funny. Like, we immediately laugh at it, but there are women who get killed over shit like this.
Yes.
Right? There's domestic violence every fucking day over these kind of small men fears of not being enough. And so I think the movie operates, because as you watch, right, the pitchfork kill is amazing. One of my favorites is Lorraine just getting fucking wasted, when she runs out the door. And that's the other thing. I don't think this is a slasher because most slashers don't rely so heavily on guns, right? The fact that so many of these are guns, they're just disposing the body. My favorite kill, like, obviously Bobby Lynn getting attacked by the Gator is hilarious, right? But the one that is really good, like the best kill in the movie to me, I don't know if you'll agree, is RJ's kill. Because he's coming out and it's the, don't fear the Reaper, and Pearl's just in the road. They have that amazing, like, jump scare push in. And he gets out and Pearl just nuzzles up to him. And he's like, ew, ew. And then she gives him a little kiss. He's like, why did you do, ugh. And he's like repulsed by her. Yeah. And she just so matter-of-factly stabs him. And he falls down and she gets on him and starts stabbing him with this fucking fury, and the blood's all over the headlights and it goes red. And the music quiets right from the crescendo and she just does her dance. That somehow it's just like, there's a story, the Baroness of Blood, right? This lady used to go through villages and take young girls and bathe in their blood to preserve youth. She, by getting his youthful blood, getting his fluid on her, right? She is again transported, and that scene is fucking, like, that to me, like, that's the scene that most encapsulates the righteousness of this movie.
It's my favorite kill, and it's one of my favorite scenes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's beautiful, like the headlights, being murdered in the headlights, but they look red.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I think it looks great.
It's just very, like, stylistically powerful, but also this kind of poignant, like, man, Pearl is so fucking deranged.
Oh, she's so deranged.
Right? It's not just like a creepy old lady who's like, I'm going to kill you with a knife. Like, she wanted just, like, what happens if RJ just reciprocates, like, affection to her? And I'm like, I'm sorry you're feeling bad. Hugs her. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe Pearl's like, without, like, a full dicking, like, it's not going to be enough. But you get the sense, you're like, she's so fucking, like, there's that scene when they play Landslide, right? They're all sitting there post-coital glow, having beers. They're young. Their whole life's ahead of them. They're all going to be able to retire to their room and have sex if Lorraine doesn't blow it, right? If Lorraine doesn't blow up the kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. They're all going back to their room to have sex, be drunk, youthful shit. And when they're playing Landslide, and everything's ahead of them, right? The song about I'm afraid of changing and this and that. We just see Maxine just fucking Pearl combing her hair, these fucking doll faces, you know, kind of redressing it. Like, it's so lonely and isolated and miserable that we're like watching the crucible that has formed this fucking lustful monster of the movie.
And she is going to snuff them out one by one.
Yes.
The young people who have the vitality, the physical beauty, the virility.
Well, you definitely see Howard when Kid Cudi answers the door
has.
with his dick out in silhouette. You're like, in that moment, you're like, for sure, Howard's killing that guy. There's no fucking chance. You know, and I don't even know if it was racism. It was just like he just sees the silhouette of the dick, and he's like, "You motherfucker." But it's a fascinating ending, man. I appreciate so much the journey of what they're doing. And I even think like the ending is so cleverly staged, right? Where Howard, they blow Lorraine's face off. He's dragging her in so that it'll look like self-defense, which I was like, I don't think that's forensically true. There's fucking blood everywhere on your property, dude. I don't think it matters if she's in your foyer. And then she gasps, her last death gasp. He does have the heart attack. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great, man. And then when Pearl fucking shoots the gun and goes flying out of the door and breaks her hip, that to me, I was like, that's one of my favorite movie choices in the last 10 years. Like, that was so great. She's just, you know, screaming at Maxine, "It'll all be taken from you, you whore." And Maxine just fucking backs it up and runs her over. I was like, what a euphorically fulfilling ending. Like, I loved the kind of choreography of this last bit.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was so good.
It's good. It is good. I love, for, you know, throughout the film, Maxine and Pearl have had these moments. And in this final showdown, Pearl is talking to Maxine and kind of, you know, warning her, you know, you will be me. Anything you're doing to me, you're doing to yourself. It
goes from yearning to cursing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think the scene, like, if you showed someone a movie and you're like, what makes this movie like a great horror movie? To me, the scene would be when Pearl undresses, covered in RJ's blood, and crawls into bed with Maxine. And is kind of gently running her hand by her and just laying near her. And you see this, like, desperate begging for osmosis. Like, give me some of that. And it's fucking horrifying. Like, it works on so many levels. It's so fucking horrifying. It's tragic. It's sad. It's
to me, it's really sad. It's really
it is, but
sad.
also you're like, if I woke up and like some old grandpa was naked, covered in blood, running his hand on my hip, I'd be like, ah! I'd immediately be like, I'd be more worried about me than like feeling bad for him in the moment, right?
Yes. Well, yeah.
There's
if
a
you're
startliness
in the bed,
to that. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter who gets in the bed if you didn't consent. You know what I mean? Just saying.
There's like a version of it where, maybe this is a man thing, but there's a version of it where you roll over and it's just like the cast of Baywatch covered in blood in the 90s, and you're just like, all right, this is it. Again, I'm very ready to meet my death in the bed of coitus.
There is a flip side to that for sure.
Yeah. There's a fantasy of that, because again, I think
I'm just saying, what are the chances? You know what I mean?
Is it likely that I will end up with the entire cast of Baywatch in my bed after they've murdered someone? No. But would I answer the bell? Yes. I just look at, I'm your Hasselhoff now, women. No. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's fucking it's an interesting ride. It's fucking fun. It has great homages. It has wonderful style. It's just great. And then it ends with like kind of another homage to Texas Chainsaw. It's like, this is an evidence proceeding. And they have the camera like, what happened here? What do you think's on that camera? From the looks of it, one fucked up horror show or horror movie. And you're like, yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Cuts to X. It's fun. It's a blast. as this is a franchise, we have not mentioned yet the preacher on the TV being Maxine's dad. This is also where we start the mantra, right? Because she kind of starts the movie, you're a fucking sex symbol. The mantra of this movie, and especially into Maxine, is this kind of idea that we hear when she's screaming it at Pearl, and it matches perfectly what her father on the TV saying is, I will not accept a life I do not deserve. Which I don't know if it ever means what Maxine thinks it means.
Right.
Which is interesting, and Maxine goes much more into that. But they do end the movie telling us, the pastor holds up a little freckle-faced picture. My daughter, Maxine, has been taken by pornographers and the culture that's degraded. So, a fun little piece to get us deeper into the franchise, right? Because next we go back in time to Pearl, which is this very kind of Wizard of Oz Technicolor fantasy. And then Maxine, obviously, is this kind of like neon-soaked 80s vibe kind of movie, right? But it is fun to see that, like, they were already planting the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
It's fun that this movie was designed and crafted with the idea to be a franchise. They might not have had it all mapped out. I know that they built the sets in New Zealand, and Ty West wrote Pearl in essentially 2 weeks, I think he said. Because he's like, well, how do I maximize this and make, to where A24 is like, yeah, we'll do more, right? We already spent this money. Let's make more use of it. So it is kind of just this, it's an amazing production story. It's wonderful that we get movies like this. It's wonderful. It's a franchise. It's a great movie. It's fun. The cast is great. I think, in my opinion, this is the one I enjoy most. I also fucking love Pearl too. I loved Maxine too, if I'm being honest. I just love this franchise.
Pearl is my favorite. I will.
You know what's funny? I know a lot of people
who
fucking
gush about
don't
that.
like Pearl, and I think that is fucking crazy.
I mean,
we'll talk about Pearl tomorrow, but
yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Mia could have gotten nominated for an Oscar for Pearl, in my estimation. Like, you do not see performances like that in horror movies very often.
Yeah.
And she is a goddamn Chernobyl level event in that movie.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to take this opportunity to say anyone who saw Infinity Pool knows what Mia Goth is capable of.
I fucking love Infinity Pool.
No one who saw Infinity Pool would be surprised.
Well, so my wife, I was like, I'm going to go see Maxine before the horror convention and film festival. She's like, you can't fucking go without me. So she called my mom and was like, hey, will you take the kids to Despicable Me 5 or whatever, so that we can go watch Maxine. The movie ends and she just looks over me and she's like, Mia Goth's my favorite actress. Like, she's obsessed with her now. And I was like, yeah, I fucking get it. She rules. And Pearl is, to me, the like crowning achievement of her career so far. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. You guys know the deal. The October Mega Marathon, 31 days, 31 pods. Please be back tomorrow for Pearl. Make sure you go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod so you can have all of the shows this month. That's a wonderful thing. We appreciate it. Helps us out, helps you out, right? The YouTube Film Alchemist. We're on all the socials you're on. Find us over there, especially TikTok. Make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings and reviews. You can contact us, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. Make sure you go to misfitparade.net. Come see our movie with us. Help us make our current movie. That would mean the world to us. We love you for that. Looper. Make sure you go to Looper, see the video work I'm doing over there. Make sure you check out Carmelita at Carmelita Says on Twitter and Letterboxd. Right? Those are the two?
Yep. Okay. Those are the two.
Who knows?
Kind of on Blue Sky, but it doesn't really count.
By the time this on, we'll have her on TikTok, Instagram. We'll take up Carmelita's life with so much social media.
I'm too old for TikTok, man. I can't.
This is the first steps to becoming a Pearl.
I can't.
This is the first steps to becoming a Pearl. No, Carmelita. We have to have unlimited apps that suck our souls out.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll work on her. Either way, be back tomorrow for Pearl.